This happened a few months ago. I'm Jake, 32, and I work as a freelance photographer. Late-night drives on empty backroads became a routine for me after shoots. I liked the quiet away from the city. One night, it all changed. I parked my car on the side of a dark road. The moon was bright, and stillness surrounded me. I took pictures of the trees casting shadows. While adjusting my camera, I saw a flicker of light in the distance. Car headlights, I thought. It seemed odd because I hadn't seen another car for miles. Curiosity pulled me toward it. As I drove closer, the light vanished. I frowned, thinking maybe I imagined it. I shrugged it off but couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I drove back, feeling uneasy. Over the following weeks, the odd experiences kept happening. One night, I saw that light again. Always just at the edge of my vision, never straight in front of me. I followed it, hoping to capture it with my camera. It felt like the light was teasing me. That's when I heard the laughter. It came softly from the trees, sending chills down my spine. I thought it was all in my head. One evening, I noticed fresh tire tracks leading off the road into the woods. They looked new, which was strange because I never saw them before. A wave of dread washed over me. I felt as though someone or something was watching. My heart raced. I grabbed my camera and stepped out of my car. I wanted to chase the light, to see what it really was. The laughter rang out again, louder this time. My skin crawled as I stepped closer to the trees. The branches creaked above me. A chill hung in the air. Standing at the edge of the clearing, I felt the weight of silence envelop me. Then, from the darkness of the woods, I spotted a figure. It wasn't clear in the shadows. Someone was standing there and didn't move. I took a step back, fumbling for my car keys. My mind raced, but I felt an odd draw toward whatever lingered in the shadows. Just as I turned to run back, the laughter echoed again, sweet and haunting. In a panic, I scrambled into the driver's seat and locked the doors. I glanced back, but the figure was gone, swallowed up by the darkness. I sped away, my heart thumping loudly. I don't understand what happened that night. Was it my imagination, or did I stumble upon something that shouldn't be? I still don't know. I drive those backroads less often now, but the memories haunt me every time I pass. The laughter still echoes in my mind, and the flickers of light remain a mystery I can't shake. The next week, I decided I needed to face my fears. Ignoring the unease that bubbled in my stomach, I drove back to that road. It felt like I was tethered to the mystery, pulled back despite everything I'd experienced. I parked my car under the glow of the moon and sat for a moment, trying to steady my racing thoughts. My camera lay on the passenger seat, and I grabbed it, determined to capture whatever it was that had unsettled me. I stepped out, the cool night air washing over me. The woods stood silent, like an audience waiting for a performance to begin. As I moved closer to the area I'd fled from the last time, I noticed something different. The tire tracks were still there, the same path leading into the trees. But there was something else. Littered along the edges of the trail were remnants of old, faded photographs, scattered like fallen leaves. I picked one up. The image showed a group of people standing in a forest, smiling, but their eyes looked hollow. A shiver ran down my spine. What had happened to these people? I felt the weight of the silence press down on me. I glanced around, half expecting to see the figure from before. Instead, only darkness surrounded me. I took a step deeper into the woods, hoping to find answers. The laughter returned, distant at first but growing closer. It twisted around me, teasing me like a child playing hide and seek. Panic bubbled back up, but my curiosity pushed me onward. Then I saw a flicker of light in the distance. This time, it was more vivid, a bright, flickering orb floating eerily among the trees. My heart hammered, a mix of fear and desperation to solve the puzzle that plagued me. I raised my camera, framing the bizarre light in view, just before I pressed the shutter, an otherworldly scream pierced the air. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before. The sound ricocheted off the trees, and I stumbled back, adrenaline surging through me. The light flickered wildly, as if reacting to the scream. I turned to run, the laughter echoing behind me, more sinister now. As I sprinted back to my car, the woods seemed to close in around me. Every shadow felt alive. I barely made it to the vehicle, slamming my door shut and fumbling with my keys. My breath came in panicked gasps that I drove away, but the road felt longer than before. My mind raced with what I'd seen. The photos and the laughter were connected, I was sure of it. But how? That night haunted me, but it wasn't over. I heard whispers in the silence, and the laughter floated back into my mind. I had to go back again. There was something unresolved lurking in those woods, something I had to understand. Then, I saw it in the rearview mirror, another flicker of light, trailing behind me. It felt impossibly close. My heart dropped. I wasn't alone anymore. I couldn't shake the unease. The flickering light behind me felt like a warning, a taunt. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, feeling every bump in the road as if they were jolts from something unseen. My mind raced with thoughts: what if it followed me home? What if I never understood what was happening? I decided to find a place to regroup, somewhere I could think. I drove to the edge of town and pulled into a small diner that was still open. The neon sign buzzed softly, casting a flickering light as I stepped inside, seeking refuge from the unsettling night. The diner was almost empty, save for a few late-night patrons nursing their coffee. I slid into a booth in the corner, my camera still tucked under my arm. I needed to make sense of everything. I pulled out the photographs from earlier. They felt heavy in my hands as I examined them in the greasy glow of the diner light. The faces stared back at me, their hollowed expressions sending chills through my spine. Everything all right? A waitress appeared at my table, looking concerned. I quickly folded the photos and shoved them back into my pocket. Yeah, just tired, I replied, forcing a smile. She nodded but didn't move away. You should be careful driving those backroads. They can play tricks on your mind. Her words froze me. She must have noticed something in my eyes. Why do you say that? The waitress glanced around, as if expecting someone else to overhear. People have gone missing in those woods. Strange lights, whispers. It ain't just stories. I felt my heart race again. I opened my mouth to question her more but stopped. I didn't want to scare her now. Instead, I whispered, have you ever seen anything? Her expression hardened, a memory flickering across her features. Once, years ago. I saw something move in the trees, thought it was just my mind playing tricks. But it wasn't. What happened? I urged, leaning closer. She shook her head, her hand trembling slightly as she poured coffee into my cup. It's not something you want to see. It's better to stay away. Before I could respond, the door swung open, and a gust of wind swept through the diner. I turned to see an old man in a worn coat shuffle in, his eyes wide and darting. He scanned the room before landing on me. Mistake coming back, he said, voice raspy. Mistake. His gaze bored into me, and I felt an unsettling chill creep back in. What do you mean? I asked, but he merely whispered something about the darkness and turned to leave, the door closing behind him. Fear shot through me. It was becoming abundantly clear I wasn't just dealing with a simple mystery, but something far more complex and menacing. I hurriedly paid for my coffee, feeling like I was running out of time. As I stepped outside, I glanced back down the road I had just come from. The light was there again, flickering in the distance. This time, it felt more purposeful. It was calling me back. That I took a deep breath. I had to confront whatever was waiting. I'd come too far to turn away now. But as I reached my car, a cold gust of wind swept by, and everything went dark. My phone flickered its last light before dying completely. I was completely alone. I stood in the darkness, adrenaline coursing through me. The neon sign of the diner buzzed faintly behind me, but its warm glow felt far away now. I fumbled for the car door, praying it would still open. My fingers brushed the handle, and I hurried inside, heart pounding. The engine started with a reluctant sputter, but the comforting hum of machinery couldn't shake the feeling of eyes watching me. I glanced into the rearview mirror. My reflection looked pale, drawn, as if the night was truly taking its toll on me. Taking a deep breath, I pulled out of the parking lot. I had to find out what was happening. Was it the light? The whispers? I needed answers, but would they lead me to danger? The road ahead twisted like a snake, surrounded by towering trees that loomed and swayed. I turned on my headlights, cutting through the thick mist that had rolled in. Suddenly, the light in the distance reappeared. There it was again, flickering like a beacon in the dark. As I drove closer, my heart raced with anticipation and dread. In my mind, I replayed the waitress's warning. Should I turn back? But curiosity pushed me on. I parked at the edge of the clearing, where the trees parted to reveal an old, abandoned cabin. Its sagging roof and broken windows seemed to beckon me closer. A chill ran down my spine. I was drawn to it, propelled by something I couldn't quite name. Before I got out of the car, I took one last look back down the road I'd just traveled. Nothing but shadows awaited me in the rearview mirror. Stealing my nerves, I grabbed my camera. If anything was out there waiting, I wanted proof. The air was thick as I approached the cabin, the silence almost deafening. I creaked the door open, the sound echoing off the walls. Inside, dust motes danced in the beams of my flashlight. The cabin felt like a time capsule, frozen in whatever unsettling moment had caused it to be forgotten. I stepped further in, finding remnants of a life once lived. A peeling floral couch, a dusty dining table, and something on the floor caught my eye. As I bent down, my heart dropped. It was a worn leather journal, pages yellowed and frayed. I flipped it open, eager to learn what secrets it held. The handwriting was shaky, filled with fragmented thoughts. The author wrote about feeling watched, about shadows that whispered names in the dark. The last entry sent a shiver through me. I can hear them now. They won't let me leave. I shouldn't have come here. Just then, I heard a noise outside, a rustle in the trees. My instincts kicked in, and I snapped the journal shut, heart racing again. I stepped back, holding my breath as I turned towards the door, but a light flickered in the window. Someone or something was outside. The eerie glow illuminated the cabin's interior, and I felt a surge of fear wash over me. Then everything went quiet. The flickering light vanished, leaving me in complete darkness once more. I was no longer alone. I barely had time to process the darkness before a loud crash erupted from outside the cabin. It shook the flimsy structure so hard I stumbled back, my heart racing. What was that? I muttered to myself, my voice barely a whisper. Taking a slow breath, I forced myself to approach the door again. I peered through a crack in the wooden frame. The world outside was a mosaic of shadows, and I could see nothing but trees swaying uneasily in the wind. The rustling had stopped. Whatever had made that noise was gone, or it was waiting for me. I stepped back, my eyes darting to the journal still gripped tightly in my hand. If I was going to face whatever was out there, I needed more than words. I needed a plan. The cabin had no phone, no way to call for help. My camera wouldn't offer much, but at least I could use it to document whatever discovery or danger lay outside. I cautiously opened the door, the creak of the hinges sounding like a scream in the silence. The moonlight spilled in, illuminating the clearing. I stepped out, the ground cold and hard beneath my feet. A chill wrapped around me as I scanned the area. To my right, there was a shadow, slim and elongated, moving among the trees. My breath caught in my throat. I raised my camera, half eager and half terrified. As I focused, a flash of light exploded in the forest. I squinted, trying to make sense of what I saw. It appeared like a figure, but it flickered like an old film, wavering in and out of existence. "This isn't happening," I muttered. "This isn't real." But my instincts betrayed me. They screamed at me to run, yet my feet were glued to the earth. I had to know what it was. I moved forward slowly, my heart pounding fiercely in my chest. As I approached the edge of the clearing, the figure seemed to grow more defined, details sharpening into something familiar, no longer just a shadow. That's when I heard it again, a hushed whisper cascading through the trees. "Help me." My blood ran cold. I wasn't just witnessing a shadow, I was encountering something trapped in a purgatory of its own making. I stumbled backward as fear took hold. But my curiosity was fierce, pushing against the claws of dread that I took a shaky step back, my thumb brushing the camera's shutter button. I snapped a photo, and the flash lit up the clearing like a sunburst. In that brief moment, the figure froze. I squinted, and for a split second, I could see a face pale, haunted. The eyes looked straight through me, and the whisper turned into a soft scream. "You shouldn't be here." The light from the camera flared, and then it was gone, swallowed by the night. My heart raced as I turned to run back toward the cabin. The woods felt different now, alive and threatening. My mind screamed for me to escape, but there was something deeper, a pull, an urgency to know more. As I fled back to the cabin, another crash echoed behind me. I didn't dare look back. Panic surged. My breath came in ragged gasps. The cabin door burst open before I reached it, as if inviting me with a chilling welcome. As I stepped inside, I could feel the atmosphere shifting. I knew whatever waited for me outside had followed. I slammed the door shut, my body pressed against the wood as if it could offer protection from whatever shadow loomed just outside. The cabin felt smaller now, suffocating. I could hear my heartbeat thrumming in my ears, drowning out every other sound. I quickly turned on the flashlight, its beam cutting through the dimness of the room. A flicker of reassurance washed over me, illuminating the old furniture and the crinkled pages of the journal sprawled on the table. Almost involuntarily, I reached for it. I needed to remember if there was anything more. It had to contain something useful. Sitting at the table, I flipped through the pages with trembling hands, the entries filled with wild scrawls and fragmented thoughts. I noticed the last entry was hastily crossed out but included the words, "The shadows and the figure are connected." My breath hitched. What could that mean? Then I recalled the Face ID scene. Those eyes. They weren't just haunting, they were pleading. "You shouldn't be here." My stomach twisted. Had I disrupted something? Another crash echoed from outside, louder this time. The cabin shook, and dust fell from the ceiling. I gripped the journal, feeling its weight as if it were my lifeline. I had to gather my thoughts. I couldn't allow fear to dictate my actions. Suddenly, the candle on the table flickered, casting exaggerated shadows that danced on the walls. I stood. Was I really alone here? An irrational fear bubbled within me, but I dismissed it. I had to confront this. I opened the cabin door again, the creak even louder this time. The air outside was colder, pressing in on me. The clearing was bathed in moonlight. I turned my flashlight off, letting my eyes adjust to the dim light. This time, I wouldn't let the fear stop me. In the distance, I saw it again, the figure, more defined now, closer. The shout from earlier still echoed in my mind. "Help me." The urgency in its voice ignited an odd sense of responsibility within me. "Who are you?" I called out, my voice wavering. The figure shuddered, the outline almost flickering again. "What do you want?" The forest fell hushed, as if the trees were listening. Then, out of nowhere, the figure moved towards me, striding quickly but without sound. I felt my breath catch again, my fight-or-flight instinct kicking in. I didn't want to flee again. But something inside me suggested I should. I took a step back, my heart racing. "No, wait." The figure paused, and in that moment, I perceived a clarity, a realization mixed with fear. I had a chance to understand. But I had to get closer. I took a tentative step forward, prompting it to reveal itself. Suddenly, a new noise cut through the night, whispering. A chorus of murmurs overwhelmed the still air, rising like a tide. My mind reeled. I couldn't comprehend what they were saying, but it felt like a warning and alarm, that S when I saw it glimmering in the moonlight, something at the figure's feet. It was a small object, shimmering like glass. I felt an uncontrollable urge to pick it up. As I reached down, a rush of cold air swept by, and the figure vanished. Panic surged again. I straightened, scanning the clearing. No. Come back. But there was nothing. Only the whispering continued, a haunting reminder that whatever I had stumbled into was far from over. I had to find that object. But what would I unleash by doing so? The forest felt thick, closing in on me as I hesitated. I scanned the ground, desperate to find that shimmering object. It couldn't be gone, it was right there. I stepped forward again, the whispering growing louder, more insistent, twisting around my thoughts. I closed my eyes for a moment, trying to focus on the sound. It was like they were calling me, urging me that I couldn't just leave it. I had to know what it was. Taking a deep breath, I knelt down, searching the ground with my hands. It was as if the earth itself was watching me, holding its breath in anticipation. The chill in the air crept into my bones, but my fingers brushed against something cool and smooth. I grasped it tightly, my heart racing. Opening my eyes, I caught a glimpse of the object, a small, glass-like orb. It sparkled with an otherworldly light, swirling colors trapped within. I couldn't look away. What was this? I felt a strange connection to it, as if it were calling to me. But then the whispering shifted. I felt a pressure in my ears, like they were being pulled by an invisible force. I froze, my breath hitching as fear seeped back in. What was happening? The voices turned frantic. Maybe I should run. Maybe this was a mistake. Suddenly, a chill swept through the air, and the whispers stopped. I looked up, startled. In the distance, shadows darted between the trees. My resolve faltered, but the orb felt heavier in my hand, urging me to stay. I wasn't just a witness anymore, I was part of this. Who are you? I shouted into the darkness, hoping to find clarity in the chaos swirling around me. Nothing. Just the trees standing silent, as if they refused to answer. My pulse quickened. I thought of the figure, of its pleading eyes. I had to know what it wanted. With a newfound determination, I stood tall, squeezing the orb. It felt warm now, almost alive, pulsing in rhythm with my heart. That when I noticed the ground beneath me was shifting. A shadow shot out from the trees, moving faster than I could react. I braced myself, the urge to run battling with my instinct to uncover the truth. But I wasn't ready. The shadow coalesced, taking form into something familiar yet terrifying. No. I whispered, backing away. The figure from earlier was standing before me, clearer than ever, eyes wide with something between desperation and fury. Leave, it hissed, voice echoing like distant thunder. You don't understand what you've awakened. Confusion tangled with panic. Questions raced through my mind. What had I awakened? The whispers swelled again, melding into a cacophony of fear. The orb slipped through my fingers, rolling towards the figure, the colors inside swirling more violently. No. I lunged, reaching for it, but the moment I grabbed the orb, darkness erupted around me. I was surrounded by swirling shadows, the forest alive with malevolence. The figure's expression changed, eyes wide, as if it finally recognized the gravity of what I held. You must not, but the shadows consumed my vision, pulling me into an abyss of swirling black and bright lights. Everything faded, sounds twisted into nonsensical murmurs. Then silence. I was lost in a void. When the world snapped back into focus, I was alone again but in a different place. I found myself standing in front of the cabin, heart pounding, as if I had just awoken from a dream. The journal still lay on the table, pages fluttering in the breeze. Is it over? I asked the empty air. But I already knew. This was just the beginning. The ball was set in motion, and I couldn't escape the forces I had unleashed. I stared at the journal, unsure of what to do next. The orb in my hand felt warm, comforting in a way that didn't match the chaos I felt inside. I opened the journal, hoping to find answers. The pages fluttered again, the ink smelling faintly of earth and smoke. I flipped through, searching for anything that might explain what I had experienced. Most of it was cryptic, symbols and sketches I didn't recognize. Then, in the corner of one page, I noticed a small drawing of the orb. It was identical to the one I held. Beneath it, in hurried script, were the words, "Do not disturb the balance." My heart sank. Balance? What did that mean? I quickly scanned the rest of the page but found only more incomprehensible symbols. I felt a chill creeping in again. Had I disrupted something I shouldn't have? I slowly closed the journal, my gut telling me I was in way over my head. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed outside, pulling me back to reality. It sounded like footsteps on gravel, shifting closer to the cabin. My breath caught in my throat. I sneaked to the window, peering out into the darkness. A figure loomed in the moonlight, partially hidden by the trees. Panic surged. Who was out there? My heart raced as I backed away from the window, unsure of my next move. I considered grabbing the orb and running out, but my legs felt like lead. The drama of the last moments played in my head: shadows, desperation, the figure warning me, and I shuddered. As the footsteps drew nearer, I noticed something flicker near the figure. It was a light, flashing erratically like a dying star. I squinted to get a better look. Was it a flashlight? A lantern? In that moment, I remembered the warning. My mind was a whirlwind of fear and uncertainty as I weighed my options. "Who's out there?" I called, my voice shaky. "Show yourself." No answer. Just the soft rustle of leaves and the continuous approach of the figure. I wanted to retreat, to hide, but curiosity gnawed at me. I couldn't keep ignoring what was happening around me. What if this was connected to the orb? Summoning all the courage I could muster, I opened the door and stepped outside. The cool air smacked me in the face, every hair on my body standing on end. The figure turned sharply, and I felt a jolt of recognition. "Stay back." It was a familiar voice but twisted by frantic energy. "You shouldn't be here." "Jason?" I squinted, trying to make out his features in the dim light. "What are you doing?" He looked wild, eyes darting nervously, glancing over his shoulder. "You have to listen to me. I saw it, the thing you unleashed. It's waking up." My stomach dropped. I couldn't take in his words. What had I done? Panic turned to dread as the shadows around us began to pulse again, thickening like smoke. "Run!" he shouted, grabbing my arm. "Now!" But we barely moved before the air shifted, and it felt like the night itself twisted around us. My instincts kicked in, and I sprinted after him into the woods, heart racing. But as we ran, a distant roar echoed through the trees, making my blood run cold. "Whatever you do, don't look back," Jason yelled, and I felt the weight of his words sink in. We didn't just have to escape, we had to survive whatever was coming for us. The forest swallowed us as we ran, branches clawing at my skin. Jason's grip was tight on my arm, pulling me deeper into the shadows. My mind raced with questions. What had I unleashed? Why did I feel like I was being watched? "Keep going," Jason shouted. I could barely keep pace. The roar echoed again, closer this time. It sent a wave of ice down my spine. My heart thudded loud enough that I feared the entity following us could hear it. The darkness around us felt alive, shifting and writhing like a beast in pursuit. "Where are we going?" I gasped. I needed to know if there was any hope of escape, but the trees loomed like giants, blocking my view. "Just away from it," he replied, his breath ragged. We have to get to the road. The road. If we could reach it, we might find help. Panic clawed at me as I thought of my car, parked at the cabin. But could we even make it back there? The roar came again, louder and more menacing. My feet moved faster, the urge to survive pushing me onward. A sudden glimmer caught my eye amid the trunks. This way! I yelled, veering toward the light. It was faint but steady. I hoped it was the road, a sign of safety. Jason followed without hesitation, but I could sense his uncertainty. As we approached, I realized it wasn't the road at all. It was the orb. It lay nestled in the ground, glowing with an eerie light. It pulsed softly, almost inviting. Confusion surged within me. Why is it here? I whispered, half afraid to approach. Jason's eyes widened as he too saw it. No. He shouted, it's not safe. We have to go. But the orb seemed to pull me in, its warmth beckoning. Everything inside me wanted to touch it, to understand it. Then, out of the darkness, something massive broke through the trees. It was a silhouette, dark and swirling, resembling the very shadows that had haunted my mind. My breath hitched as I froze. It was the thing that Jason had warned me about, and it filled the air with an oppressive energy. Run! I finally yelled, shaking off the orb's trance. But as I turned to flee, the creature moved, unnatural and swift. It snapped its gaze on us, and in that moment, I felt something shift deep within me. A strange connection formed, a fleeting sense of recognition, like it was reaching for me. We sprinted, hearts pounding. The roar turned into something more like a screech, scraping at our sanity as we plunged deeper into the woods. The light became more distant, and I could barely breathe. Yet, I felt another tug from the orb, like it was crying out for me, promising safety. Suddenly, my foot caught on a root, and I stumbled, panicking. No! Jason yelled, grabbing my arm, pulling me upright again. Just keep moving. Then everything twisted. The ground shook beneath me, and the night itself felt like it cracked open. I heard whispers, voices that rattled inside my head. They were echoes of the past, haunting and familiar. In that chaos, I saw Jason stop. He stared behind me, horror washed over his face. I turned slowly, dread growing within me. There it was, the creature had caught up. Its eyes locked onto mine, filled with a knowing that terrified me to my core, but then I noticed something else. In its shadowy form, a faint shimmer mirrored the light of the orb. Was it a connection? A part of the same balance I had disturbed? My mind raced back to the journal's warning, and I felt the cold grip of realization. Jason, wait! I screamed as the creature lunged toward us. Then everything went dark. I awoke in my car, the dim glow of the dashboard lights flickering like a memory. My heart raced as I blinked into the fog of reality. Had everything that happened been real? Or had I simply succumbed to a nightmare? I was parked on the roadside, the old cabin a vague shape beyond the mist. Relief and terror fought for control within me. As I rubbed my eyes, the memories rushed back, the whispers, the figure, the creature. I glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see shadows swirling behind me. A shiver coursed down my spine, but I was alone. Or was I? I started the car, the engine humming a familiar tune that seemed almost reassuring, and drove back to the clearing where the cabin stood. My mind ping-ponged between what I'd encountered and what I had survived. The road felt unnaturally long as I fought against the urge to turn back, my hands gripping the steering wheel tighter. When I reached the clearing, nothing had changed. The cabin loomed silently, enveloped in mist. I stepped out of the car, my legs feeling weak beneath me. Every instinct screamed to turn and run. Instead, I pushed down that urge and walked toward the cabin, the air thick with unspoken truths that I entered hesitantly, half expecting the darkness to swallow me whole. But the journal lay undisturbed on the table, and the orb was gone. I felt a bittersweet longing, a connection I couldn't quite explain. Unsure of what I sought, I rummaged through the dusty remnants, hoping to uncover something that might explain what I had witnessed. The pages of the journal whispered to me, yet their meaning faded like echoes of laughter from a distant memory. Was I meant to understand what happened here, or would the truth elude me forever? One entry caught my eye. They were drawn into the light, but the light held secrets best left undisturbed. Confusion washed over me. Had I been lured also? I turned to leave, my heart pounding. But a sudden flicker of light outside caught my attention. I hesitated. Should I investigate? The fear that overwhelmed me hinted at danger, yet a quiet whisper from within urged me to seek the truth. That I crossed the threshold once more, stepping into the cool night air. The light flickered again, just beyond the trees. With my camera in hand, I approached, every instinct warning me to tread carefully. The woods loomed, silent as ghosts, and shadows danced upon the trunks. Drawn like a moth to a flame, I edged closer until I reached a clearing I had never seen before. There it was, a soft, pulsating glow hovering above the ground, like the promise of hope. That I knelt near it, the warmth washing over me, beckoning me closer. Was it the orb? Or another piece of whatever I'd awoken? I hesitated, the lingering panic of the creature's presence still fresh in my mind. Help me! My heart sank at the sound of the plea from deep within the woods, echoing eerily through the trees. I recognized that voice, and it sent a chill racing down my spine. Maybe it was a trap, an invitation that could lead me into darkness again. But I couldn't tell if I was fleeing danger or running toward it. I lifted my camera, instinctively capturing the specter of light before me. With each click, I felt the tension mount, like an alarm demanding attention. Just then, the light flickered violently. The whispers crescendoed once more, building to a near-deafening cacophony. They pierced through me, echoes of desperation urging me to leave, yet the sensation of being watched settled heavily on my shoulders. Before I could panic again, the ground beneath me shifted, and there before me sat the shimmering orb I thought I'd lost. It pulsated gently, casting strange shadows that danced like memories on the surrounding trees. Was it a choice? I reached out slowly, and the instant my fingers brushed its surface, the world around me exploded into a kaleidoscope of light and shadow. My breath caught in my throat as the air thickened, an undeniable presence surrounding me. But then, quiet fell, enveloping me. And just like that, I realized I was no longer alone. From the shadows surged a figure, illuminated now, the face I'd seen before, stricken, pleading. Leave. It echoed again, but this time there was a different urgency behind the words, the shadows swirling and laughing around it. As if trapped in a web I couldn't see. I faced the moment of truth, to flee back into the safety of darkness or approach the engulfing light. I took a trembling step forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But another voice whispered through the trees, haunting and familiar. The creature, now unfurling from the depths of the woods, held my gaze. I felt the line between fear and understanding thin. Would it recognize what I had become? Was there something worth reclaiming amidst the chaos? As I stood on the precipice between worlds, I was ruled by an instinct deep inside, clawing to uncover what I'd unveiled. I could turn away, seek safety in ignorance, or plunge deeper and grasp for the truth. I had come too far to step back. All I could do was breathe, and as I did, the shadows, the nightmares, and the light converged into one, leaving me hanging in an endless question. Would I survive? Or would the tangled threads of mystery consume me whole, leaving behind only echoes in the moonlit night? And then, just as uncertainty enveloped me, the world dimmed, or perhaps, it flickered out entirely.